Welcome back to M Hood Fishing, everybody. So tonight I'm going to do a carp test. I'm going to test the carp. Yeah, you're right. I'm not going to go into great detail while I'm in the house as to what I mean, but we're going to do a quick checklist. We need all the accoutrements in the carp tackle box. This is the carp tackle box to go tackle box. So I changed out the lead a second ago. I had many of these 4 ounces. We'll keep just one for prosperity, but down here where many 4 ounces were living, we have 2s and 1s, and then we have our method leads. We probably are not going to use those tonight, but for prosperity, or for a change of the mind, they are there in case the mind changes itself. We want to make sure we have fake corn, we have extra hooks, but we probably don't need to get into that extra bag of hooks because we've got our rig wallet with rigs already tied up. We'll look at that later. And then here we have our bite alarm wallet. Hanging here, we have 2 things. We have 3, but there's 2 that we need. We need the collapsible bucket, just in case. And then we need this, my favorite carp net. Stick that right there for the moment on top of my unhooking mat. I think I have most things checked off the list. There's very few things left, but the very few things that are left on the list are super important. So we need rods. We're going to choose 2 rods here. I got 2 carp rods. Let me just get them out. We've got an got an avalanche coming up. Both of these rods are exactly the same, but each rod has a different reel. This is a Black Widow rod, just like the other one right there. It's a Black Widow rod, 2-piece. These are 10-footers, and they have a 3-pound test curve. So I would say it's a medium heavy, or a little less than a medium heavy, but perfect for carp. It is in fact designed for carp fishing. This has a Cat King 5000 series reel. This is one of those cheaper reels you can get off of Amazon or anywhere on the internet. You can find these. You don't tend to find these in the store. So as you see, it has a bait runner on it, and I believe I have 40-pound test braid on there. And here we have my other Black Widow with a different reel. This is an XPR 6000 series reel with 40-pound test braid and a bait runner. This I got from bigcarptackle.com. That's a business out of Oklahoma. This is a reel that is more commonly found in the UK. There are people like myself who use this reel in the States, but it is a common reel. XPR is a common brand that you see in the UK, made in China. However, it is the cheaper of carp reels out there. It is not a super expensive. Neither one of these reels are expensive. Whoa, about killed the rod in the fan. Shoot. Oh, a fisherman's arch nemesis and friend, the ceiling fan. So as you can see, this is a carp net or coarse fish net as well. It's the triangle version of those nets. I like them, but they're not my favorite. They're easy to break. I like the ring one better. It's stronger, and it just is fits better into life. So there is one thing. There's definitely another thing, but there's one thing in here, and I don't know where it is in here, but I definitely need to find it. Is it in with all these rods, or is it somewhere else? Where did I put it? I recently reorganized my tackle room, and I may have done a number on myself because now I don't know where anything is. As you can see, the net just screws right into there. This is actually very strong. There are cheaper net staffs that you can get, but some of the cheaper ones break so easily. Like if you accidentally step on this, if it's laying on the ground, you're not going to break it. But the hollow ones that are much less, that are cheaper, They may cost less money, but they break so easy because they're like made of nothing. And this is very strong, very good material. You can see the handle here. Easy peasy. I love this. Now for the last few things, because it's going to be a grouping of things. Bait. We need bait. What are we going to bring for bait? Well, it's a test, right? We're testing the fish. We're testing a bit of water. We're testing a swim. Are we catching fish? Hopefully. But this is a test. I recently, on In My Hood Discovered, did a video about an infestation I had in this drawer. I was keeping a lot of carp stuff in this drawer. There's a lot of carp stuff that I have been keeping in the refrigerator, but I had some dry things related to ground bait stored in here, and I shouldn't have had them in here. They got infested. Anything in this house like that, grain or meal wise, left on its own for too long is going to get a bug infestation. It is such a big ordeal in this house. This is the worst house for that I've ever lived in. So look at all these canned goods. They're all the same but different. We need, I don't know how many we're going to go through, but quite a few cans of corn tonight. And this may be our main attractant. This may be our ground bait, but not our hook bait. Because if we make this our hook bait where we're going to end up with turtles. So we're going to rely on the fake corn for the hook bait, and this to test the fish, test the swim. It should work just fine. Four cans might be quite a bit, but it is summertime. If it was winter, 1 can. Because there's no real what I'm doing tonight wouldn't be too productive for winter. We're going to feed like crazy, right? We could even just like bring out the big can and these cans. We could bring out all these cans, but we're feeding a small bit of water. You'll see when we get there. I don't know if we're going to use all this corn, but we're definitely going to bring a lot of corn because it's summertime. They're going to be feeding heavy, and we want to see if we can get fish, to come into this swim. I'm going to talk a lot more about it when we get there. This is a talky video. This is about carp fishing. This is about when you start a campaign, you want to know, like, maybe you don't know. Are there fish there? How common are fish there? Do carp, basically the carp. Do the carp come into that spot? Do we have to feed a lot to get them to come into that spot? There's a lot of questions. So we have to start this campaign like an experiment. And that's what we're doing. But now we need a cup of coffee. It's ginger coffee too. Be sure to check out M Hood Discovered, my other channel, if you're interested in making ginger coffee. That's what I am about to enjoy. Yeah, you're right. So pretty soon we're going to leave the abode. We're going to leave this bread box, and we're going to be staring at water for several hours. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, M Hood, you almost forgot something super essential to every carp session. Bink sticks. Yeah, you're right. Bite alarms go right here on the end, and the butt rests go there too. So 2 rods, 4 bank sticks. We may just use 1 per rod or 2 per rod, I don't know, but we're going to bring 4, so we could do 2 per rod or 1 per rod. This depends. We got to get to the spot and make these decisions then, but we don't want to make the decisions at the house. We want to be like, we got everything we need, even if we don't end up needing it. And here I am at the swim I want to test. No, it's not where all this light is, but you can see If you are a regular viewer of this channel, you know where I'm at. There are the challenges you know, and then there's the challenges you don't know about when you come to a spot. Apart from interesting squealing screams in the distance, which I don't think will be a challenge for me, can you see the challenge that is before me? What is that, duckweed, alligator weed? Anyway, there's a lot of that weed the further you look out across this canal that a lot of us call a bayou. This is Bayou Berrier. It's not natural, but it has a natural setting. This is a man-made drainage canal with a very nice natural setting. However, it is naturally choked for the most part. But out here where all this weed is, where it's compacted, is not the swim I'm testing. The swim I want to test is right here. There is a bit of that here, but this is not the kind of weed that is worst case scenario. This is fine. Even out there with all that, it might look a bit of a nightmare out there if you could see it with the naked eye right now. Definitely looks like a nightmare. But if it was all hyacinth, that would be an even more intense nightmare, because that kind of weed you can lose fish in. So this isn't super bad, but this doesn't look good, right? If you're a new viewer and you've not seen me fish this spot, I will tell you that I'm in a neighborhood. There's people sleeping right over there and right over there. I brought some boilies just in case. Let's get this bucket out of the way, get the boilies out of the way, and get this big piece of corn, well, this big can of corn, big piece of corn, and get this opened and put out there. This structure right here in front of me, and there's more of it behind me, is a small pumping station that draws the water out from under the neighborhood right into the canal. And then there's two major pumping stations on the canal that draw the water out of the canal and into the ICW. And further down the ICW is a massive pumping station that pushes the water out towards the Gulf. So that's how we drain. All right, so I'm 100% confident that there are carp in this drainage canal. However, for whatever reason, they're not that common up here on this stretch of the canal that is easily accessible by the public. There's a neighborhood here. This canal goes a good ways one way and a good ways another way and links up with smaller canals. It seems like you run into common carp more commonly on the stretches that are not easily accessible. You will see them, you will catch them. However, down here, you could live your whole life thinking they're not here. And there are many people, when I say there are carp in this water, that want to argue with me that there are not because they've never seen or caught. Go to the far reaches of this canal where you can only access it by kayak, and you will see them. I have seen them here. Let's go ahead and get this open. I have caught them down here in a cast net, but I have had many sessions on this accessible stretch of water where I just fully blanked. I had not even a bite. Recently, I've been here at night right after a period of pumping, and I saw a carp around this pumping station feeding. So that's the whole reason why I'm here experimenting. I'm going to overfeed and just watch and see if they come in. Now, I'm not going to put out carp lines right away because it doesn't happen right away when you are feeding a swim where you're 50-50 on whether or not carp are around. To draw the carp in, because they're not there already, it could take some time. And in my experience with carp on this particular stretch, this particular system that I'm fishing, they're very, very spooky. Lights spook them, talking spooks them, erratic movement spooks them. Carp are just in general a spooked out fish. They're easily spooked, right? They're very spooky. So we're just going to overfeed and observe and be quiet. But we're going to fish for another species at the same time. Hopefully those two things don't contradict each other. You know, they don't work against each other. And here we go. Look at this corn. It's been sitting down in that drawer forever. It just looks fresh, right? We're gonna start with this whole can. We may feed all the corn that I brought, but for the moment I think this is good enough. We're going to feed, you see this pipe and then that pipe, we're going to feed right in here. We could feed past where you see this sloping embankment, but I would not advise fishing the bottom right here, because when you get past here, past that, you see these rocks. Everything on the bottom is rocks, so that would be very snaggy. But of course, yeah, I considered having one line and another line out, put a boilie out there past where the rocks are, but I think for the moment we are just going to put corn in here. This is not snaggy and this is shallow. One of my favorite things to target is carp close in. We just have to get them here. A handful at a time, just broadcast it. Sometimes when you overfeed like this, and then you get your feed out, you do the overfeeding thing, and then right after you're finished getting all that feed out, you put a bait out, you may be shooting yourself in the foot, because you have so much bait out, so much ground bait, that they're more interested in your ground bait than they are, oh, something stirred over there. They're more interested in this corn. So that's why I'm not putting a bait out right away. I want to just see if they're here. And this is shallow. This is probably around a 2-foot level right now. So if we get a lot of carp in here, we're probably going to see some movement in the water, and I'll know. And we get them in here feeding, and if they're feeding heavily, which, because it's summertime, they're probably going to continue feeding, and when they've gotten most of my ground bait gobbled up, we can put out a bait of our own. It might be more successful like that, but this is just a test. This is just to see if this spot can be worth it. All right, that's one can empty. I think this is going to be good for the moment. Just this. I may put out more. I may go to another spot. For the moment, this is where we're doing our experiment. So if we were like expecting rain during this session, I would not have chosen this spot, because this is computerized, and if it was raining, this would turn on and it would just be a whitewater event out there, pushing all my corn out into the bayou, out into the canal. It hasn't rained for like a couple days. I like to come to this spot when it hasn't rained for a couple days. Don't like to come here directly after rain, because the whole system is moving and dirty and not worth fishing. I think even though we have a very weedy situation, I think it's the best it's going to be for a few days. Little hook, size 6 Aberdeen to be exact. I got some worms down in here. Are they still alive? I haven't got at them in a while. Here we go. Carp isn't the only fish that the corn's going to attract. It could attract panfish, obviously, as well as bullheads. Panfish and bullheads are here. In different bits of water around here, I would say buffalo. I'm surprised that I've never encountered buffalo here. They would be a native species, as where the common carp are not, but common carp have been here for a very, very long time, well over 100 years in the area, well over like 180, I think it is. It's a good time they've been here. In many states, carp have been there for so long they don't consider them an invasive species anymore, though they don't consider them native, but just not invasive. They were first brought to the States by the government, so yeah, a long time ago. They were brought here as a food fish, but it didn't work out. 104. I'm just going to sit here pretty much in the dark and observe. I have the cork right there in front of me. I can see it. So I'm going to change out the float for something more visible. And I'm noticing on this float, it is very slimy. This water is very stagnant. In a lot of ways, that's not good for a lot of species, but it's not bad for carp. That is much more visible. Oh, blah, blah. Right in the face, Mr. Cichlid. There's our first fish. Barely made that cork move. This is a very attractive fish as well. Originally aquarium trade, right? And that's probably how they got in our water. People aquarium dumping. Yeah, you're right. Rio Grande cichlid. Occasionally, I will turn on this bright headlamp to see if anything spooks, because in my experience on this water, on this system I'm fishing, bright lights spook the carp super fast. The first time I see an obvious carp spooking when I turn on this light, I'm going to set up the gear. But for the moment, I'm still observing. I haven't seen any obvious carp movement, but we've only been sitting here for about less than an hour still, not even an hour. It was about right before 1 when I put out the corn. For perspective, here's what it looks like through the camera, the eye of the camera, the ambient light. Now, with my eyes, I can see just fine. I've got a shaft of ambient light coming across this water, and then a shaft coming across there. So I can see disturbances. I'll turn on the light so you can see better. There's bait showing up, lots of minnows. So far, nothing big. I haven't seen a spotted gar, but we know there's fish because we just caught a Rio Grande cichlid. This could take some time. This very well may take a very long time. It may be the long game. And yeah, I am familiar with the long game when it comes to carp. May very well just have to keep coming here and feeding. I considered just riding down here, dumping a bunch of corn and going somewhere else, or going back home, not even sitting here like I am right now. Maybe come back in a few hours and see. So the long game, how I am familiar with it, I've done this before. Carp are, I'm not going to say they're like dogs, but they're similar in the way that you can get them hooked on a pattern. If you keep feeding an area, say like I came here tonight and there's no obvious signs of carp being here, but I have seen them here before. I know they exist in this waterway. So I put out a bunch of corn. If they come, they come. If they don't, I'll come back and I'll feed again. And eventually they'll start coming. They'll get used to it if I stay consistent. If you stay consistent, they'll get used to the feed being there, and they'll just come and look for the feed because it was there yesterday. Oh, and it's there today. And if it's there tomorrow,
They will be there tomorrow. It may take a few days to get them used to a spot. It's kind of like pigeons. If you go and you get a bunch of squabs, baby pigeons, off a roof, and you put them in the coop with the coop locked up, but you have feed and you have water, and you keep them in there for a few days, and then you open the doors to where they can just come and go, they will just keep coming back because they consider that home now. Not that carp are going to consider this home because there's always corn, but after a few days of feeding a spot where they weren't before, but they are in the water that the spot is in, they will be there. Because once they come in and they gobble up all the corn I threw out, they will just keep looking around, right? That's the idea. We want to target them on a day where we've got them trained, we've got them in the spot, but we haven't put out the amount that we were putting out. We just put out a little bit and our hook bait, and then the fun is on. So this might be the long game. Hence why not too many fish in this video and a lot of talking, because this is carp fishing. There's a lot of tactics, a lot of things to consider. It's not just like, throw out your bait and boom, you get a fish. Sometimes you have to do these things. Otherwise, you're just always blanking. Feeding is very, very important. And sometimes you're feeding a spot where they don't come all the time. But I have seen them here recently as well. And what was that about? You got to think about that. Why were they here that one time? Well, we'd had several days of pumping, and then it stopped. So maybe they go up into there and feed, but then when all of that is drawn out, maybe there's a lot of food for them in there, and they're interested in it, right? So it gets all deposited in front of here. And maybe that's when they show up, or they come, and maybe they know, right? I've caught them around pumping stations down here before. But this is like the toughest bit of water down here I've tried targeting carp on. There's been many times I've come out here to do a carp session and it went nowhere. I decided not to give you the video because I do not really like posting a lot of blanked videos. But I feel legitimate in posting this one because there's, at the moment, at least one fish caught in the video. So it's over the line. It's a legitimate fishing video. There was a fish on the hook, just not the one we're looking for. But like I said, sometimes a successful session is more about a long game. You got to have a few unsuccessful sessions to understand the swim. That's the bit of water you're fishing, to understand all the area you're fishing. And sometimes just to prime it. It may take a few days to prime it, to really get a lot of carp in there to where you can have a fun session. But just like I've said before, they don't thicken up on this stretch for whatever reason. There are a lot of other species that are the same way. If you go to the far reaches of this system where there's not a lot of people living, and you can't even, like, you got to take the boat there, there's very little land access, you will find all these species you don't find down here the rest of the year. You'll find shoepick up there. If you live around here, you know where I'm talking about. You'll find shoepick up there more often than you do down here. You'll find bigger bass up there. You'll find sockeye up there. And you will find a lot more carp up there than you do down here. Damn thing sounds like a car alarm. Another handsome devil aquarium fish. That's what's up. They are in the cichlid family, just like tilapia. They taste a bit like tilapia, but that one's way too small for the frying pan. The corn has been out for over an hour now. No obvious signs of carp quite as yet. As they say, early days, early days. Sometimes a campaign starts like this with nothing.
Thank goodness for cichlids, right? Oh ho ho, look at that. It's not a cichlid. Oh, we got us a little red ear. Look at that. Yeah, you're right. It is maybe picking up a little bit out here. Not just because of that, but there's some stirring going on. I don't think it's carp. Seen some spotted gar feeding right here in front of me. My baited area is generally to the left here. I'm considering opening another can and broadcasting it half. Oh, there goes the fish I caught. Oh well. Broadcasting that next can of corn half in where I have feed and out here where I don't have a lot. Maybe I need to have feed from the here where the rocks are coming in. Maybe it's not enough to draw them just to have it right over here. I'm starting to hear disturbances near me. A little bit to the left where I have feed, but it's not carp. And quite a few disturbances right over there where you see the rocks end and then the grass. I don't know if you can see that. I think you can. I'll point the rod at it. Right in there. You see where the rocks end? In between where the rocks end and then that point, the grassy point, right in the middle of that is a small alligator that keeps hunting. And I do mean small. Probably not even 2 feet. Anyway, he's been there for quite some time now. I watched him come in and he's just hanging out. I'm surprised he's not over here messing with the cork. They love it when there's a cork. You're sitting here messing with your cork and that just draws the gators in. I have not seen turtles. Every time I feed somewhere down here in southeast Louisiana, where I'm at, when I feed whatever I feed with, I always draw in turtles. Maybe it's the time of night, maybe I just don't see them, but I'm sure I'm going to lose a lot of the corn I've put out to turtles and other things rather than carp. But if I keep at it, I'm sure to draw in some carp. Like I said, this may be the long game. Will I break out a carp rod for this session? I don't know. Well, that alligator's moving around over there in a weird way. I think he's getting happy since I started putting this corn out. I don't know why he's happy. Maybe he thinks I'm throwing marshmallows or popcorn. This alligator that I'm observing is behaving oddly. I don't have really anything to do but remain curious about it, so I'm going to put this to the side for a second. Oh! I came over to see if he was stuck because he was behaving so oddly. He may have actually been chewing on something, but once I got close, he was gone. Left a nice open spot there. Oh, I see his eyes. You can't see it, I don't think, his glowing eyes, but he's a good ways away now. Maybe it's all for the good, all for the better, right? Yeah, look at that. Got us a black bullhead. Well, I could be calling that wrong, but it is a bullhead. When they're small like this, they're kind of a pain to pick up. Don't you do it. Yeah, you're right. Stay calm. This is, in fact, the only species of catfish in the water I'm fishing tonight. They get a lot bigger than this. I see my first turtle right after I caught that bullhead. He just slowly came up. We're staring each other down. You might not be able to see him, but he can definitely see me. Well, he just sees me as like the smallest sun he's ever seen. But I'm not your sun. Here. Am I your moon now? I'm not surprised. Bullheads, now turtles. I think the corn is attracting something that makes me feel good. If nothing was coming up here, something would be horribly wrong, like everything's dead, but nothing's dead. It's all still alive. It's just the water doesn't look that inviting to most fishermen because it's stagnated and full of weed. But in fact, there are fish here and they are starting to come in because of the corn. But will the carp show up eventually? We're about like 2 hours into having corn out, and not too long ago I put some more corn out. So I got the cork a little deeper into where I was feeding to see if anything is up in here that will hit the worm. Pretty soon I predict we may have a turtle on this ultralight. I would like to not experience that, but it's likely. Oh, look at that. A bigger Rio Grande cichlid. Good thing I got at him right in time, because look at that hook set. Ooh, settle down, buddy. Settle down. Right there in the lip. Yeah, you're right. Oh. When I first got here, I did put the worm, when I first got the worm out after putting corn out, I did try back here where it's shallower, right around this pipe here, and I had no bites. But now that I'm 2 hours into feeding, I'm getting bites back here in the shallow bit. But I haven't seen obvious signs of carp quite yet. We might before this session is over. We might not. It might just be one part of the long game. I should have checked this at the house. This has happened before. I put fresh batteries in these, but a long time ago, right? They're not fresh anymore. We're gonna go old school. No bite alarms. I've got 2 rigs here already ready to go. Fake corn, looks like it's aged a little bit, kind of green looking, but it'll work. Doesn't matter. Oop. The fake corn that I'm using tonight is not scented. It's not going to be attracting the fish that way. It merely just looks like corn on the bottom, right? The way these carp feed is they're going around hoovering up, sucking up bits of mud in their mouth and filtering out. They're not a filter feeder, but that's basically what they're doing. They suck up stuff and they spit out the dirt and keep the food. So they're going to be hoovering up corn, and this is going to be in with the corn, and they'll end up hoovering it up and getting hooked. Hopefully I don't snag. There's another issue. For the past hour, the breeze has been picking up, slowly pushing weed up into us, choking us a little more than when I first got here. So hopefully we can place this without any issues. about right there. Just lobbed it right in there. I think I'm past the rocks. It is almost 4 a.m. It's 3:53. I've just put these both out. I don't have too much confidence in them at the moment because I haven't seen any sign of carp in this swim quite yet, but I thought I would do this anyway since I was planning on staying till at least pre-dawn, maybe sun up. It is going to be a hot day, so I don't see myself staying out here much past sun up. You can feel it warming up already as we speak. Anyway, I'm ready to go. I mean, I've got my net here. I've got my unhooking mat here. I can barely see my rod tips, but here pretty soon I'll be pre-dawning and everything will be spectacular. Maybe I'll get something on the boilie like a bullhead or a turtle, and that'll be exciting. Oh, wouldn't it be beautiful if it's actually a carp though? I didn't show you the flavor. If people are still watching, because I know this is a really long video, it's only diehard carp fans. Strawberry is the flavor. Oh my goodness. I was just reacting to a bite. We had like a knock knock on the rod tip. Oh my goodness. There's absolutely no guarantee that that was from a carp, but possibly a line bite. Something ran into the line because it kind of looked like that. Could have been a turtle messing with the boilie, because this is the boilie rod. The fake corn rod has been put up already. As you can see, we are really choked up out there. And as the morning has progressed, the breeze has been pushing it more and more up in here. It's not real bad, but it's worse than it was when I started. It is really close to 6 a.m. Sunrise is at 6:17 a.m. Like I said, I just have the one rod out, the boilie. It's out there. It may have had a bite, looked like a line bite, something bumping in. Could have been a turtle pawing at the boilie. And as we get closer to sunrise, I'm seeing disturbances right in here in front of us. Right out there, and right in here, all the way back to that corner. Fish moving around. Don't know if it's carp. It kind of has a predator sense about it, right? Something chasing bait is what it seems like. So we could have bass in here chasing stuff, but like that right there, what was that? If that was a carp that hit the boilie, are they finally coming in because of the corn? You can only hope, right? I mean, that's pretty optimistic, because that could have just been a turtle pawing at the boilie, because they will do that. And then here pretty soon we'll be pulling in a turtle with a hook in its paw. That's going to happen with boilies and real corn, but not the fake corn. Turtles don't go mess with that. Since about 4 a.m. there hasn't been any bites to speak of. I ended up putting this ultralight away. There was no fish activity up until now, and this is the time to expect it, right? But are they carp? A flock of Mexican squealers circling the area right now. Could have guessed. This choke is really starting to become a problem. Because I saw carp feeding here last month right in there, I'm pretty sure this spot's going to work if I keep feeding it. However, I think it's way too choked. I mean, just look at that. That is a problem. You could just like
struggle against it and make something happen. I made something happen this morning. Oh, but it is pretty choked. The plan for the moment is to go home and eat because I got a grumbly tummy. What's a stummy? Anyway, yeah, I'm hungry and it's getting warm. It's going to be hot here really, really soon. I don't really feel like continuing fighting the choke. I think I'll come back when I wake up later and check it out. Maybe feed it, maybe not fish it, but feed it, and then go do another swim somewhere else, because that's what's up. I want to go do carp again later. Yeah, you're right. I know it's a long video, but these types of videos, these camping videos, can go long. It's carp fishing. So yeah, I'm probably gonna keep feeding this, but not actively fish it. Just feed it a little bit later and go look for a swim that's not so choked. That'll be easier to fish. Might even be better. Yeah, you're right. Out of all the drainage canals in the New Orleans metro area, which this is a part of, this is the one that doesn't seem to be absolutely chocked full of carp. Like, most of them have too many carp in them, but this one, they're here. They're just really hard to connect with. They're not that thick down in here where the neighborhoods are. Other places that are harder to get to, it seems, that's where they're at. So we might have to go up there. But until then, thanks for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, being a member of the channel, going over to M Hood Discover and subscribing there. We're like so close to having that monetized. Yeah, you're right. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.